Today I want to talk about the power of teaching your child gestures, nonverbal communication. My name is Nancy Marchese. I'm a board-certified doctoral level behavior analyst and a clinical psychologist. My goal is to help 2 million children with autism and their families by transforming their lives, and I can't wait to help you too. I often hear from parents that one of their top goals is teaching their children communication skills. And this is super important when it comes to kids with autism, and what they need to teach can certainly vary depending on the child's needs. But one thing that often gets forgotten is that communication is not just a verbal expression or some type of expression through a device. It also involves nonverbal communication or gestures. In fact, some experts say over 50% of our communication involves our body language, gestures, mannerisms, facial expressions. So it's super important that you consider that when you're thinking about things to teach your child. One of the foundations for communication and also all sorts of social skills to come is a really special skill called joint attention. What is this thing, joint attention? Well, it really involves a series of steps between two people to help them communicate. At a really beginner level, you think about perhaps a child whose parent wants to show them something in the natural environment and get their attention, and maybe it's an opportunity for further interactions from there. So it might look something like this. Let's say you're outside and there's a plane that flies by. You may point to the plane, and typically what a child will do is look towards your point, look up at the object, whatever it is that you're pointing to, and then look back at the person who did the pointing, so the parent in this case. And then that lays the foundation for all sorts of other things to come. Talk about the plane, talk about what's going on outside, maybe shift to something else. But as a starting point, that initial couple-step approach is super important. So when you're thinking about this for your child, a couple things that you want to keep in mind. First things first, you want to teach your child to follow that point. Point to things that maybe are of interest to them. It may be, something that is different in the environment, something that's funny or odd, helping them to orient towards the point and that object, and then from there, helping them to orient back to you. And when they do those couple of steps, then you have a huge party. Maybe they get access to that cool object that you pointed to, or maybe you move on to some super fun other activity. That simple, follow the point, look back at me, maybe talk about what you looked at. Those couple of basic steps really lay the foundation for a future of so many more social interactions. So as you can see, even with this example of joint attention, you really want to think about, when you're thinking about communication skills, not just how to get your child to express themselves vocally or maybe through an alternative device, but also to be able to understand gestures, follow gestures, interact with different scenarios that involve gestures, and then from there so much more, facial expressions, all sorts of things that some people may call nonverbal communication. There's only so much we could cover in the short amount of time we had today. If you found value in what we talked about, go to breakthroughautism.ca, join our newsletter, and also follow me on my socials.